Next, close on demand. What does it mean? Well, I'm sure you know what closing means, but I'll tell you, if you're not a salesperson, closing means to get people to make a decision and move on to the next part of the presentation. To close them is basically they've made a decision to buy the product in some form. That's closing people. How? I will show you in a minute. Only use strong closes when your customer has desire for the product. So remember, we talked about creating desire before. When you have desire, when you've painted the picture, when they show an interest, when they ask any questions, that's the time to close them. A closing question might be, so John and Mary, am I looking at 2 new members today? John and Mary, how would you like to pay, Visa or Access? John and Mary, can you see yourself using this product for you and your company right from now? Those are closing questions, and they say yes, yes and yes, or they'll say no. If they say no, they're not ready yet and need to create more desire. Use open questions, trial closes. Tie downs, tell, show, say, which I'll talk about after this one. Your clients will be fully sold when they start to tell themselves the benefits. People believe what they say. They believe you less than what you say. They'll be fully sold when they tell themselves all the benefits of the product. For example, oh yeah, we can do this. We can use it to do that, and then we can use it to do that. What they're doing is then telling themselves and putting themselves in that ownership picture that they really believe that the product will benefit them. You can only communicate the next benefits once you've covered the first benefit. Don't shoot all up front. Use timing in your presentation. Use it properly, use it wisely. Because if you come to halfway through the presentation, you've got nothing left to show them, but you've got all these facts and figures, you are going to lose the sale because you're going to bore them. Techniques. What kind of techniques do we use? Well, I don't know what kind of audience I've got here, but I presume that some people are in sales already. And some of you may have heard of these techniques. Forgive me if you heard of them. But I've been in sales now for 15 years. And I emphasize that you must do the basics. You've got to get back to the basics. It's amazing how quickly, as a salesperson, you can forget the basics. Even if you think you're really good, your sales will go down, you'll ask someone to listen to you, and 9 times out of 10, people will tell you that you're not asking enough questions. You're boring them. You're telling them too much, and they'll switch off. So, techniques. What's an open question? An open question is a question that requires your customer to answer other than a yes or a no. So they can't say yes or no to the question. Such as, where did you come from today? What motivated you to buy this product today? What features do you like about this product? Why would it benefit you as you or as a company? So it's why, when, what, how, where, who. Start your questions with those things. Don't go, is it okay? Can you do that? Because they're yes or no answers. Open questions really open the people up to get more information that you need to close these people. If you don't have the information, you can't close them. It's impossible to do it. So open questions are really the basic, but they're so important. It's amazing how quickly you can forget to ask these questions. Next, trial close. What is a trial close? You know, a lot of people think they know, but they don't. A trial close is an excuse for the customer to make a minor decision. When you first sit down with your customer, you've got to start closing them. For example, would you like tea or coffee? That is a trial close. Would you like sugar or milk? That is a trial close. Because they're making a decision already about what they prefer. Now, I know it's only tea and coffee, but that is irrelevant. Once you get them used to making those decisions, the more decisions they make through the presentation, the closer they will to buy the product. And the closer they are, the easier it will be at the end for you to ask them to buy the product by saying, well, listen, how would you like to pay for this, Visa or Access? Okay, Visa, there you go. If you don't ask them enough questions and they don't make enough decisions through the presentation, and you ask them, well, how would you like to pay, Visa or Access? They'll go, oh, no, we can't possibly buy today. We've got to think about it. There's no way we're buying today. When they say that to you, it means that you have not asked them enough trial closes and you've not created enough desire to buy the product. So trial closes is a question that requires them to answer yes or no, to make a decision about the product. The more decisions they make throughout the presentation, the easier it will be for them to buy at the end. Another technique that you might have seen it, you might not have seen it. It's called tell, show, say. Now the tell, show, say technique is basically a very simple technique. I'll give you an example. Let's imagine that you're reading a newspaper today, okay, and you believe most of it's in the newspaper because it's a newspaper, it must be true. Now if I told you that there was an earthquake in your town this morning, if I told you, you probably wouldn't believe me because first of all you didn't feel anything. So you probably think that I was not really telling the truth. Normally, if I told you there was an earthquake in your town, your belief level would be about 10%. If I got a newspaper out, and the headline on the newspaper said, earthquake in your town this morning, what do you think is going to happen to your belief level? Of course it's going to go up. And it goes up to about 60 or 70% because you've seen it in a newspaper. Then the next stage of belief, conviction, of what you're doing here is actually getting your customer to say it. Now when they read the newspaper, they say earthquake in the town this morning. What they'll do is, it's the first opportunity they get, they will tell their friends, they will tell their family, they will tell anyone they can because they want to see, oh my God,